Every successful software project starts the same way, with a conversation. Not a technical one, not yet. A conversation about pain. What keeps your clients awake at night? What's costing them money? What's breaking their operations? If you skip this conversation, you will build the wrong thing beautifully, expensively wrong. This is Module 1, Discovery, and it's where your project lives or dies. By the end of this module, you will understand how opportunities are identified and qualified. We are not chasing every client, we are hunting the right fit. The pain point framework, moving beyond we need an app to we are losing $12 million a year. Stakeholder mapping, who decides, who uses, who blocks, who influences. The RFP analysis, how to read a formal request without being blinded by jargon. Discovery dialogue techniques, questions that unlock real problems. Here's the reality, most software projects fail because they solve the wrong problem. Not because the team was incompetent, not because the tech was wrong, because they never asked the right questions up front. Jane Doe, the VP of Cargo Co., came to us saying we need better forecasting. That's what we heard. But what she meant was we are hemorrhaging $12 million a year because our cargo sits on the tarmac, our operations are chaotic, and we are losing clients. Those are different problems. If we just built better forecasting without understanding the operational chaos, we would have built a beautiful model that nobody used. This module teaches you how to find real problems before you write code, before you charge the client, before you commit your team. Discovery has a structure. Follow it. Step 1 is lead identification and qualification. This is where opportunities enter your pipeline. Inbound, a client reaches out, they heard about you, they have a problem. Outbound, you identify a prospect, you see a gap in their market, and you pitch. Either way, your first job is this a real opportunity? There are three questions. Question 1, do they have a budget? If the answer is we need to get approval, that's red flag. Real sponsors come with approval or path to approval. No budget equals no urgency. Question 2, do they have pain acute enough to act? Nice to have features don't get funded. Cancer gets funded, fever doesn't. You need to find what's causing them to lose sleep and money. Question 3, are you the right fit? If they need iOS and you build backend systems, it's not a fit. If they have $50,000 and the project needs 500,000, it's not a fit. Be honest. Say no early. It saves everyone's time. Step 2, the pain point discovery. This is the hard part because clients don't always know what the real problem is. A client will say we need real time dashboards. What they mean might be our managers spend 4 hours a day manually compiling reports and we are making decisions 24 hours too late. Your job, find the business impact. There are four techniques. Technique 1 is the why ladder. Client says we need better forecasting. You ask why. Client says because we are over ordering inventory. You ask why does that matter? Client says we are holding $2 million in excess stock. You ask, and if you reduce that, the client says we freed up $2 million in working capital. Now you have the real number, $2 million. That's your anchor. Technique 2, process mapping. Don't let them give you the summary. Walk them through the day. Walk me through a typical Monday morning. What's the first thing you do? Let them talk. You will hear the pain, manual steps, delays, workarounds, firefighting. Technique 3 is impact qualification. For every problem they mention, ask how much does that cost you? Wrong forecast leads to cargo sitting on the tarmac, leads to penalties, leads to delays, leads to revenue loss. Connect the dots in dollars. Technique 4 is competitive pressure. How is your competitor handling this? What would happen if you did nothing? How long until this becomes a crisis? Step 3 is shareholder analysis. Not everyone in the client organization has the same interest or power. Your job, is mapping them. There are three dimensions to this. The first one is role. Understanding the role is crucial. Sponsor controls budgets, makes final decisions, usually executive. User uses the product daily, needs it to work, has requirements. Influencer, not a decision maker, but has opinions, can sway decisions. Blocker is the one who has veto power or can slow things down. IT security, compliance, finance. Dimension 2 is interest level. High means they care deeply, will be involved throughout the process. Medium, affected but not obsessed. Low is peripherally involved. Dimension 3 is influence. High can mean can move the needle, can kill the deal. Medium has input. Low, consulted but not decisive. Plot each stakeholder, invest time in high influence plus high interest. Manage high influence plus low interest. They are not engaged, but they can kill you. Update low influence stakeholders, but don't spend psycho. Let's see discovery in action. Real conversations from cargo code deal. The setup, Jane Doe VP reached out. They needed cargo forecasting. That's what the email said. But here's how the discovery actually went. Jane, thanks for taking the time. Tell me about CargoCo's cargo operation. Jen says, we fly cargo on 20 international routes. We manage three major hubs, JFK, LAX, and Chicago. Every week, we have to forecast how much cargo we are getting so we can allocate warehouse staff, loading equipment, that sort of thing. How do you do that today? Spreadsheets. Last year's data plus a 2% growth assumption. It's tedious. This is surface level. She said tedious. That's a complaint, not a problem. So consultant says, walk me through what happens when you get the forecast wrong. Jen says, well, if we overforecast, we staff up the warehouse unnecessarily, extra labor cost, space is wasted. If we underforecast, that's a killer. We can't unload the planes fast enough, cargo sits on the tarmac, and if it's high priority stuff, it's perishable. What happens then? Chen says spoilage. We have to destroy product or we offload paying cargo to make room for the priority stuff. We pay penalties, we upset clients, we have lost contracts over this. Now we are getting somewhere. The problem isn't tedious forecasting, the problem is operational chaos. So consultant asks, how often does that happen? Jen says, maybe 5 to 10 times a month across all routes. What's the cost per incident? Jen says, penalty alone, $10,000 per incident. But it's worse. We lost a major client last year after repeated delays. The contract was worth $8 million annually. There it is. That's the real number. $12 million in annual losses. Consultant, and you said the problem gets worse when you don't know the cargo type mix. Tell me more. Right. At JFK, we have three buildings: standard cargo, high priority, and perishables. Perishables need a cold room. If we don't know perishables are coming, they sit on the tarmac. If they are there for 4 hours in the heat, the product dies. We can't deliver it. We eat the cost. So the real issue isn't just forecast volume, it's forecast granularity. You need to know what kind of cargo is coming, not just how much. Jen says exactly. And we need to know 3 weeks out so we can pre-position staff and equipment. That changes the problem significantly. Let me make sure I have this right. Your challenge is to predict 3 weeks in advance, not just total cargo volume, but the breakdown by cargo type and warehouse building so you can allocate staff and equipment to the right places. Jen says, yes, if we could do that with 5% accuracy, we would eliminate most of the chaos. Now we have the real requirement, not better forecasting. Hierarchical forecasting with type classification, 3 weeks out, 5% accuracy target. Notice what happened there? The client started with a vague technical request, better forecasting. Through dialogue, we uncovered the real business impact, $12 million annual loss, the specific operational constraint, 3 buildings, different cargo types, time horizon, 3 weeks, the accuracy requirement, 5%. If we just said yes, we would build a forecasting, we would have to build the wrong thing. This dialogue took 30 minutes, it was worth it. Now we map the stakeholders. From the discovery, we identified 4 key people: Jane Doe, VP Revenue Operations, role sponsor, budget owner, final decision maker. Interest high, she's losing $12 million a year, she's motivated. Influence high, she controls the budget and can kill the deal. Action, regular touch points, she's our North Star. Mark Chen, head of data science, role technical approver, he has to bless the architecture. Interest, medium. He cares about tech fit, but his pain isn't as acute as Jane's. Influence is high. If Mark says we can't integrate this, the deal stalls. Action, involve him early, show him the tech is sold, get his buy in before we commit. Sarah Bell, cargo planner, end user, she uses it every day. High, she's the one scrambling when forecasts are wrong. Influence is low, she doesn't make budget decisions, but her feedback shapes requirements. Action, understand her workflow, make sure the output is useful to her. Tom Smith, chief pilot, role constraint setter, weight and balance limits are in his domain. Interest is high, payload calculations affect his operation. Influence is low, he's consulted but doesn't control the purse. Action, understand his constraints, make sure we don't violate payload limits. Sometimes clients issue a request for proposal. It's a formal document. It can be 50 pages long or more or less, full of jargon, full of requirements. If you are not careful, you will overcommit, you will miss constraints, you will leave money on the table. Here's how to read an RFP like a pro. Step 1, separate mandatory from nice to haves. The RFP will have must have requirements marked explicitly or implied by context. Should have requirements, nice to have, could have requirements, pie in sky wishes. Your job, identify which is which because only the must haves affect your estimate. Most common mistake, treating a could have like a must have and overscoping. Step 2, identify the evaluation criteria. The RFP will say something like this. Proposals will be evaluated on technical approach, team experience, cost, timeline. That's your scorecard. That's what they actually care about. If the cost is weighted at 10% and the team experience at 50%, you know what matters. Tailor your proposal accordingly. Step 3. Watch for hidden constraints. RFP hides constraints in plain sight. Solution must integrate with our existing SAP system, version 7.2. That's a constraint. It limits your tech choices. Solution must be HIPAA compliant. That's a constraint. It affects architecture and testing. Timeline 17 weeks. That's a constraint. It affects your estimation. Go through the RFP and extract every constraint and list them out. If a constraint makes the project infeasible, raise it now, not at kickoff. Step 4 is identify what's missing. An RFP might say The system must forecast cargo volume for 20 routes. It doesn't say how much concurrent users, what's the API response time requirement, who owns the data governance. These are gaps. Write them down. Ask clarifying questions before you bid. If you bid blind, you will discover gaps mid project, and that's chaos. Step 5, estimate based on what's written, not what's implied. This is where consultants leave money on the table. Client says, we need a dashboard. You assume standard web dashboard, basic charts, 40 hours of week. Reality, they want real-time updates, advanced visualization, custom branding, mobile responsive, 200 concurrent users. That's 200 hours of work. Bid on what's written, then in your proposal, clarify assumption. Our estimate of 40 hours assumes web-based dashboards, 5 concurrent users, daily refresh frequency. If requirements differ, we will adjust. That protects you and sets expectations. Discovery is hard. Here are common challenges and how to handle them. Challenge 1. The client doesn't know their own pain. The client says, we are not sure exactly what we need. That's why we are hiring you. Problem, you can't estimate a vague problem. Solution, don't accept vagueness. Push back gently. I hear you. Let's figure it out together. Tell me about the last time something went wrong. Force them to give you specifics. Get stories, not abstractions. Challenge 2. Stakeholder misalignment. The operations team says the problem is slow reporting. The CFO says the problem is we are overspending on infrastructure. The CTO says the problem is our legacy system can't scale. They are all right, but they have different pain. Problem, you estimate for one problem and discover 3 mid-project. Solution, map stakeholders early, get all 3 in a room, agree on priority. These are all real issues. We need to decide what do we solve first. Get agreement on the top 3 priorities. Everything else is phase 2. Challenge 3, the political problem. One stakeholder is sabotaging the discovery because they see the project as a threat to their domain. The IT director doesn't want external help. We can build this internally. The legacy system owner worries the new platform will replace them. Problem, you are getting resistance disguised as technical concerns. Solution, acknowledge the concern, bring them into the solution. I hear you. We are not here to replace you. We need your expertise. Make them part of the team. People resist change. Challenge 4, scope creep starts in discovery. By the third discovery meeting, the client has mentioned integration with 5 different systems, support for 3 business units, a mobile app, originally not mentioned, real-time alerts, custom reporting, and also add scopes, but they all get bundled into the initial code. Problem, your estimate is now 3 times what the budget allows. Solution, write down every requirement at the end of the discovery, read them back. I want to make sure I have this right. You are asking for X, Y, and Z. Get agreement on the first cut. MVP. Everything else is phase 2. Discovery is the foundation of every successful project. You get discovery right, everything else gets easier. You skip discovery, everything gets harder. Here's what you have learned. Qualify opportunities ruthlessly. Is there project? Is there pain? Is there fit? Find the real problem, not the stated request. Use the why ladder, map processes, quantify impact. Map stakeholders. Know who decides, who uses, who blocks, who influences. Allocate your time accordingly. Run structured discovery interviews. Don't wing it. Use a guide, get numbers. Read RFPs carefully. Separate mandatory from nice to have. Identify constraints. Spot gaps. Watch your common pitfalls. Vague problems, misaligned stakeholders, political resistance, scope creep. The cost of discovery is a few hours of your time. The cost of skipping discovery is 6 months of rework and a lawsuit. Do discovery, get it right. In the next module, we will learn about strategy and confidence, how to sell solutions, not just bid on projects. Thank you. See you in the next module.